Okay. Morgana is going to appear in a black flash, and will say, "You are brave, little princess, to come to my place of power here. But as long as that stinking peasant that Merlin pretends is something special, as long as he is at the front of all of this, then I am determined to destroy him. Merlin must lose before I could ever even consider any sister ties with Una, or anything you have to say. He dies, and Merlin gets turned away to find some ditch to live out the rest of his life in, or whatever else he will. But he has taken my place with the fairies. So you are the wrong person to be talking to me. You have nothing to do with these high matters. Your job is to sow things. Your job is to sit at some lord's feet. Your job is to give him whatever he wants. Greatness is for such as I." So,
can I reply?
Well, yes, because that's my opposition.
Yeah.
And yes, absolutely, the actor narrates the next words or actions of your protagonist. And so you obviously have some sort of reply, so let's hear it.
Okay. So, sweet Morgana, I can tell that you've lived with men too long because you don't think like a fairy. You think very short term, and all you concentrate on is blood on the land and not peace between species.
Now I have to choose. I can challenge you. I can offer a price. Yes, of course. What else would I do but offer a price? Again, we are adapting to our reduced number, but I'm going to offer my price. And it is this. Keep Arthur if you want him to, but Arthur must renounce Merlin. Go ahead, if Una is so great, let her sponsor Arthur magically. Who needs that mumbling wizard? He tried to teach me, and you know nothing of what that was like. Have Arthur reject Merlin. Use your wiles. Use what you have to get Arthur to agree. It won't be hard. It won't be difficult at all. Use what you have. Make Arthur agree to reject Merlin. I'll turn Prince Riance back. Who knows? Maybe I'll turn Prince Riance into a dog at my side. And you can have your little king, and you can have your little peace with the fairies, and I can watch Merlin find some hut to make his own for the rest of his life. We'll all be happy. So, now you respond. If made an offer, you can accept. If you do, we'll move on to step 4. Otherwise, reject it.
Could I pretend to accept?
You can, but that's still that still would be rejection, and we would have to treat it as rejection by the rules.
Okay, so I will reject this.
What will you say?
I will not tolerate your poisonous words. Arthur is good for the country, and so is Merlin. And there is a place for you in this land if you choose to abide with our rules. If not, I cannot see a future for you.
Ooh. So now, muses.
Yes.
There are two, but we only have one. So the way this works is I get this, and you get that, and we are going to roll.
Yeah.
But you can give one of us either one die or two dice. You can't split the dice between us. You can't not vote. So, and the other muse is doing the same thing, technically. But right now they're not. So it's all you.
I'm
No
guessing
pressure.
you want a high value.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to give 1.
Okay. So then, and of course, when there are two muses, they're going to do it without discussion.
Yeah.
They have to go 1, 2, 3 and stick them out there. And
Not a
then,
fan of. I said I was not a fan of how harsh the tone became immediately.
right,
So
right.
only
right.
one dice.
Yeah, I see. Yes. What's with all the where was the softening, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I get it. Okay, so then we will roll the dice. Compare the highest die rolled. Ooh. Oh, okay, with the 6. So, if the actor wins, say how the problem they chose to address is resolved in a positive way. So if you can somehow manage it, or rather, you need to say that you did.
Can I speak for her or just me?
I think you have to narrate how it turns out, so it necessarily involves her response. And she's a non-player character.
Yeah, and she's probably looking out for number 1, which is herself. So she probably responds something like, as long as I can keep my power and I don't have to kneel to anyone, I will let you play this out.
Okay. So, and again, this was in reference to Riance, too. So the
Yeah.
idea being that she's going to stop
Yes.
supporting him. Excellent. Now, we shall rotate. First of all, Morgana will go back here. We rotate our cards, and you say, meanwhile, and you'll have this little checklist.
Meanwhile, Merlin has decided to address the problem of Arthur and Guinevere drifting apart. And he has decided to confront Arthur and try to soften his heart.
Right. I don't think that he has a hardened heart at the moment. So right now it's make amends. You can move straight to that,
Okay.
which you are trying to create. You're sort of being a helper to do this. So since you're the opposition, there's Arthur, just so you know.
Yep.
And then my job, you've picked an approach, which is good. So then you are the opposition, so you will say, however. So you might say something like, however, Arthur is something or other. We don't really know why he and Guinevere are drifting apart. Specifically. It says something about there being, chaos or something, but we don't really know. So it's up to you to kind of come up with the backstory on that one. So you would say it might be, or it might even be just a physical obstacle or something. Maybe Arthur's off, off in Ireland or something. Makes it hard to go in. Whatever it is.
However, Arthur says to Merlin that Guinevere, she only wants peace. We can never achieve peace without putting blood on the blade.
So yeah, Arthur's all about the fight.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so now it's up to me to describe where and when this is taking place. And I think clearly we're going to find Arthur very happily involved in dealing with a group of a nearby farming area, a nearby area with a small fortress, which is ordinarily a pretty peaceful area. But agents of Prince Riance have promised the local chief, lots of rewards if they rise against Arthur. And Arthur, pleased, has taken a few of his toughest men and some followers and has happily butchered them. Right? They have been a huge fight. I don't want Arthur to be a complete asshole. They were rebelling and they, killed a bunch of his people and stuff like that. But it's all war.
Yeah, that's how you unfriend people back in the Middle Ages.
That's right, exactly. And so he has dealt with the problem, right? So this is what has happened. They are, he is in this new fortress. It's his now, right? So he has occupied the fortress. He is taking over the conduct of the fortress. He's setting up. He's doing all the management, right? So that's where you're at this fortress. And bodies are being, dragged out of the river and stuff like that. Probably a group of prisoners, and he's sort of deciding what to do with him, like the old lord and stuff, the chieftain.
Yeah.
So, any objects in the room? Why, yes. I would say that if it's a room, let's not make it a room. Let's make it the courtyard of the fortress. And of course, he has a carpenter working to make, in English, a gibbet, which is the platform for hanging someone. And so it's kind of a possibility. Might as well have one around for whoever he decides needs a good hanging. So.
I see. So I get a starting. Right. So I decide that I want to advise Arthur to calm down. So I want to remind you of your relationship with Guinevere and how important it is to keep relationships maintained, to not just let them sit there and let them fall apart. You need to give them constant maintenance in order to keep them alive. And I fear that you've been neglecting Guinevere for too long this time.
But however, Guinevere, she is in her castle. She's not in the real world. Our enemies are throwing soldiers at us all the time.
The muse may ask questions, and I will simply ask the simple question. Arthur is clearly unaware. Is Arthur unaware that Guinevere just went and faced down the meanest sorceress in the world for him?
Yes.
Yeah, so...
But Arthur's standpoint here
right.
is that what do you call it in English? He's a victim of circumstance.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, I don't want violence, but we cannot act without violence in this situation because people are.
Look, these
Prince
guys.
Riance is gathering his hordes against us and the kingdom. And this is not a question about survival for either me, Guinevere, or you, Merlin. This is a question about survival of the kingdom and Britain.
So then you get the choice to describe what your protagonist is doing. And go ahead and describe how Merlin is dealing with a difficult situation here. So now, what's your big effort?
It seems that you have conflated the two people you are. You are the king of Britain, but you're also Arthur in his own person. And violence might be something that the king of Britain needs to engage in order to keep the peace and establish stability. But you're neglecting to be Arthur as well, to maintain personal and private relationships and your humanity and compassion. You're letting the king part of your role take over too much, and you need to maintain a balance.
So now, I was feeling kind of convinced.